Speaking of an NFC team, a team that many consider to be a title contending team, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys, who took care of business and then some over the Indianapolis Colts by a final score of 54-19. Before this game on Friday, when I was picking, when I was doing my Friday NFL Sunday picks, I said Cowboys win 33-17. What I did not anticipate was that Dallas would match that point total in one quarter. That being the most important quarter, that being the fourth quarter. So let me say this. Let's talk about the Cowboys in terms of the game yesterday and in terms of the bigger picture, their outlook for the rest of the season, the last 5 games in the playoffs. So as for that game yesterday, I think it's fair to say they overlooked the Colts. And this is sort of, if you're a Cowboys fan, what you're worried about, because there's this 3-game stretch before the Philadelphia matchup on Christmas Eve. You got the Colts, who are on their interim head coach, Jeff Saturday, who it's going about how we thought it would go. Matt Ryan's washed. There's injuries everywhere. Like Jonathan Taylor's about all they have at this point. So you got the beat up, interim, washed quarterback Colts. You got the worst team in the NFL, the Houston Texans, who they're playing next week. By the way, Dallas is favored by 17 in that matchup, rightfully so. And the week after that, you've got the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are not only 4-8, but now Trevor Lawrence looks like he's hurt. Then you've got the big matchup against Philadelphia on Christmas Eve. So if you're a Cowboys fan, you're like holding your breath, like just take care of business, don't screw it up. We should win these games. We should be 12-4, right? 11-3, right? Let's see, they're 9-3. Yeah, 11-3 going into the game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Here's what I will say in terms of their outlook for the rest of the season. Am I as convinced today as I was Friday about the Cowboys in terms of Super Bowl contenders? No, I have about the same opinion of them that I have really all season long. Okay? Got a great quarterback who was fine last night. You guys know I'm a big Dak fan. Big Dak fan. He was fine. 170 yards, 3 touchdowns. I don't know how his QBR was a 40. Thought it should have been better than that. It definitely should have been better than Matt Ryan's, who was somehow 57, but I don't know. It is what it is. But Dak was fine. Running game was great. Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott played well. Offensive line's doing a good job. Okay, CeeDee Lamb. I'll say this about CeeDee Lamb. You guys know I have been very critical of him this season in terms of his hesitancy to go over the middle, dropping a lot of passes, letting his quarterback down, whether it be Dak Prescott or during a 5-game stretch, Cooper Rush. I love what I'm seeing out of this young man right now. He's not afraid of contact. He's making plays after the catch. He's getting open on a consistent basis. Love what I'm seeing from CeeDee Lamb right now. Everybody else, there's a reason the Cowboys are going after Odell Beckham Jr. It's not just to help them get to the Super Bowl. It's because he's kind of a necessity. Last year, when the Rams signed him before the Robert Woods injury, it was as a luxury. Like, okay, if all else fails, if God forbid Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods, which the latter ended up actually happening, if any of those guys get hurt, okay, we got OBJ. For the Cowboys, they actually kind of need OBJ because CeeDee Lamb is the only receiver I think at this point in time you can trust if you're a Cowboys fan. Michael Gallup's a red zone nightmare, but he can't separate everywhere else. Noah Brown, nice possession receiver, really good blocker, but not a guy you're going to count on to get open on a 3rd and 8 against the San Francisco 49ers. Dalton Schultz, kind of the same thing. Possession tight end, security blanket, not a deep passing threat. Okay, and the same for the other tight ends. Ferguson, who's the other guy? McKeon, the other guys. You need OBJ in terms of the receiving unit. As for the defense, we know what Micah Parsons represents. In my opinion, he's going to be the defensive player of the year because I picked him to win that before the season. He's been unbelievable. The secondary is really beat up. They may have to get some reinforcements in free agency. Anthony Brown is done for the year with an Achilles tear, so wish him the very best moving forward. Hopefully he recovers from that as quickly as possible. You already got Jordan Lewis out for the year. Linebacking core is good. Played well last night. But if you are asking me to get excited about a 35-point win for the Cowboys, yeah, I can't do that. You were supposed to do that last night. I would have much rather the Dallas Cowboys slowly but surely put the Colts away. If you'd have told me Cowboys win 54-19, well, I think if you're a Dallas fan, you're very excited about that. But here's the issue. against a 4-7-1 football team. First of all, the record on its face, you're like, okay, they're not very good. Against a Matt Ryan, who is, if it weren't for Russell Wilson, the most watched quarterback in the NFL. Jeff Saturday at head coach, which that still feels weird. A beat-up roster. On the road. That was a 2-point game going into the fourth quarter. Now, I get the Avalanche in the fourth. It's actually, I think, the second highest scoring quarter by any team in NFL history. But some of that was just the Colts self-imploding. Matt Ryan throwing picks, fumbles, a Malik Hooker, the former Colt. Hooker got a touchdown there that kind of blew the game open and sort of started the run for Dallas. Yeah, when the Colts turned the ball over that many times, was it 4 straight possessions or something crazy? Yeah, honestly, 33 points a quarter doesn't shock me all that much because you got short field position, they can't stop the run. But we've seen this movie before with the Dallas Cowboys. Heck, I've seen a game very similar to this last year against a team that finished with 7 wins. The Washington, at the time, they were the football team. Now they're the Commanders. Taylor Heineke at quarterback. Dallas won that game 56-14. Destroyed Washington with a beat-up secondary, with a below-average quarterback. Sunday Night Football, whole country watching. The clearly superior Dallas Cowboys just took care of business and then some, like they did last night. There is nothing in the next 2 weeks that the Dallas Cowboys can do, with or without OBJ, that can convince me that they're any closer to winning a Super Bowl than they were last year. You want to convince me? Beat the Philadelphia Eagles on Christmas Eve. Then I'll be in. Then you got me. I'm going to talk about Philly later in the show, but when you've got a quarterback who's playing at an MVP level, Jalen Hurts, a great running game, which, to be fair, Dallas has that as well, but significantly better wide receiving weapons. A.J. Brown did his thing again yesterday. Devontae Smith is a Heisman Trophy winner. He's been balling this year. Quez Watkins is better than any deep threat, including CeeDee Lamb, that the Cowboys have. Dallas Goedert, once he gets healthy, I'll take Dallas Goedert any day of the week over Dalton Schultz. Defensively, the secondary is much better than Dallas, in part because they're healthy and Dallas is not, in part because they have Darius Slay and James Bradbury, and Dallas does not. Beat Philadelphia on Christmas Eve. I'm in. Dallas is a Super Bowl contender, if not possibly the favorites to get out of the NFC, now with the injuries to San Francisco. Because we saw what Dallas did to Minnesota. They're better than Minnesota. Okay, they left no doubt about that a few weeks ago. But we have seen this time and again. Standalone game, whether it be Sunday night or Monday night or Thursday night. You got a clearly inferior team, beat up. We don't really like the coach. The quarterback's not very good. And they just absolutely front run and destroy them. I'm not any more convinced that they're any closer to hoisting Lombardi than this year. They're not as good as Philadelphia. What does Philadelphia consistently put on tape? How much better have they been situationally? The penalties, which penalties wasn't an issue for Dallas yesterday, only 3, which is somewhat miraculous, but they will rear their ugly head. Make no mistake about it. So today, I have the same view of the Dallas Cowboys that I had coming into this season. They'll make the playoffs. And on January 16th of 2023, I will be talking about a Dallas Cowboys first-round exit. Sorry. That's what evidence do I have that it's going to be any different than the last 25 years? You tell me. I love Dak. He's got CD who's playing well. What else do you have? Gallup, Brown, James Washington's reportedly coming back soon. Dalton Schultz. Jake Ferguson? I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? You compare that to what Philly has? Even what Tampa Bay has? No. Good win for the Cowboys last night. But they did what they were supposed to do. Okay? And for those of you that say, well, Philadelphia beat them by a point. This was a 2-point game going into the fourth quarter until Dallas actually just, figured out that there was an NFL football game going on. And when Matt Ryan forgot that he was playing an NFL football game, again, a lot of that was in the fourth quarter was that A, Dallas is a much better football team than the Colts are, and B, The Colts self-imploded. And in some aspects of the game, almost looked like they quit. Almost looked like they'd said no mas and just quit the football game around 7-8 minutes left. Sorry if that hurts your feelings in Dallas or around the world. And I love Cowboys fans. I as somebody who left the Dallas Cowboys fan base, I have the utmost respect for Cowboys fans. Because what those fans, if you're a Cowboys listening, what you have had to deal with for the last quarter century in terms of a revolving door of coaches, a dysfunctional owner who meddles, guys who signed a big contracts and haven't. I understand. Listen, it's hard. And I respect you for staying loyal to this team. But please, as someone who does respect Cowboys fans, I'm trying to help you here. Don't get your hopes up. It's a one-and-done playoff team. Playoff team. Successful season, considering where the Cowboys were at coming in my view. This is where I had them. I had them as a double-digit win team in the playoffs out in the first round. And I said, you could check the tape back in March. On January 16th of 2023, I will be talking about a Dallas Cowboys playoff loss on this show. You can book that. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube. Be sure to click that big red subscribe button and go check out the other clips and full shows of Carving It Up Live. Have a blessed day.